All right, welcome everyone. Today is our Brodown episode here at Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown. And today we'll be discussing our Cartoony sports category, where Mario Superstar Baseball, Soccer Slam, and NFL Street go up against each other. All right, as I mentioned in the intro, today is our Brodown episode with the Cartoony sports category. Pete will be defending Sega Soccer Slam, Tom will be defending NFL Street, and I, Anthony, will be defending Mario Superstar Baseball. Just a quick rundown of how the episode and the show works. In this Brodown episode, we will have a courtroom-style debate where each of us are defending the games I just mentioned while attacking the other two games. And then based on those arguments made throughout the episode, we'll rank the games individually to come up with a consensus and declare a winner. If you'd like to hear our unbiased analysis and true opinions of each of these games, go back and listen to the prior 3 episodes where we discussed these 3 games in our main series of episodes in Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown. All right, which one of these cartoony sports will come out on top? I think I know my guess. I think I will make a good argument for Mario Superstar Baseball. And I'd like to start with my opening shot being the characters. And I don't think you could get better than the characters from Mario. And the best part about this game is that because it's baseball and you need so many players, you have a wide array of Super Mario characters in this game, and I think it just makes for a great melding of the good guys and the villains, and just seeing so many different faces out there that you could use on your team. It's just grade A in my opinion as far as the characters are concerned.
Well, there are a ton of characters that pretty much no one gave a hoot about until Mario Baseball, like Noki, for example.
Fine. But you have, how cool is it to have like Mario and Bowser on the same team? It goes back to our Mario RPG discussion.
That is a good point.
But not only that, to have, Luigi and Peach, you can make a team of all of the heroes, Mario, Luigi, Daisy, Peach, Toad, Toadsworth.
You can name every character.
Hey, no, let me finish.
Well, but look, that goes to the point. It would take me a while to name all the characters because there's such a rich selection. And I didn't even say anything about the villains.
I was actually going to make the argument, the character's argument. And, I really want to emphasize the character originality. Let's talk NFL Street first to bring Tom into the discussion. If I want to play as Brian Urlacher or Randy Moss, I'm going to play Madden. I'm not playing NFL Street. It's too, I get to play with Brian Urlacher in a t-shirt. Who cares? Nobody. I've been playing Madden.
And an attitude.
What?
And an attitude.
With attitude. I don't know. I think Madden has plenty of attitude already. And Mario Baseball, it's the same characters I've been playing since the 80s. It's getting old.
I thought you were going to say if I'm going to play a baseball game, I would just play MLB The Show. But for some reason with Soccer Slam, we won't just be playing FIFA.
No, well, that wasn't my argument, because Mario Baseball at least has different characters from MLB The Show. NFL Street and Madden NFL Street is like Madden Light. Basically.
Yeah, but in NFL Street, you can play as anyone your heart desires through the create a player feature. And one of the main, one of the main bright spots of the game is the mode where you create your own team and you progress through the NFL teams and upgrade your characters. So, like we talked about in the episode, you create yourself and all your friends and not your older brother.
Yeah, you could create yourself. That's one thing, but that whole create a player thing is such a cop-out. I remember in the old wrestling video games, there's this wrestler isn't in the game, but you could create him. It's kind of what a cop-out. He should be in the game.
Well, you can't have everyone in the game.
Are you saying you should be in the game?
You can't have everyone in the game if you're playing Madden. There's not a football player that played in the last 3 years on a practice squad that isn't in that game. So you can actually.
Yeah, but that
Well,
wasn't possible back then.
Well, NFL Street has the backing of the NFL Players Association.
Okay.
That's just the fact of it's a random fact.
NFL Street came out.
You could play as all your heroes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
but
it's just about Mario Baseball. It's just I think it adds something to have these characters, these mostly iconic characters, and then putting them in this sports setting where they now have to get a whole new set of characteristics, like whether it be baseball or just this one's a good pitcher, this one's a good hitter, or just this person's a right-handed pitcher but a left-handed hitter, and all of those new features added on to these characters just enriches them even more.
yeah, I guess. I mean, 99% of that is probably just arbitrary, but it, again, we've seen Mario in sports context before too, and
Yeah.
we've seen, as you mentioned, Mario and Bowser teaming up before. It's like it's all been done. In Soccer Slam, though, the characters have a ton of personality and backstories, and it's all original stuff. The characters are the main part of the game. Well, to me, it's a
Yeah,
big part of the
I
game
know,
anyway.
and that's why the game itself isn't great, which we'll get into. Characters being the main part is great when it's like an RPG or a game like that, but you need something with the characters for a sports game to be good and successful, I think.
But it's an arcade, cartoony sports game. Like Tom was talking about the attitude. You get that through the characters.
I don't know if the attitude is necessarily important. Like Mario Baseball, there's not attitude, but it's just I don't know. It's just very I don't know. I just think it's a good mix of classic characters with new features, whereas Soccer Slam is completely just new out of the air, and NFL is just pretty much the players in the NFL for that year.
Yeah, but they're behaving differently.
Not really, though.
Well,
Like the
kinda.
best.
I mean, like when are you gonna see Chad Pennington do a no-look pass?
That's true. Chad Pennington is in that game, and I used him probably the most.
Well, I guess that part. You want to get very specific. Yes, you get to see Chad Pennington do a no-look pass.
And you have Chad Pennington playing defensive line. That's not something he does in
Getting
real life.
pancaked by offensive linemen. Exciting.
Well, that's just one example. You don't have to pick the quarterback doing the most useless defensive, role. You can have your, Ricky Williams playing linebacker.
True. That's kind of cool, I guess.
So I also want to move on to another point that I think benefits an argument in favor of Mario Superstar Baseball, which is just it was able to have this sort of cartoony arcade sports gameplay without it being manic, like I feel NFL Street and Soccer Slam were. It was just like so chaotic sometimes, and that's part of the nature of those sports versus baseball, which
that's
is
what I was gonna say.
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't change the facts, and also being baseball is just better than the other sports because baseball's a better sport. So I mean, I kind of will admit that I had a little bit of a leg up because of that, but I just feel like again, if you're sort of melding things and saying which one did things the best, I think the gameplay was a good combo of cartoony and realism in Super Mario Superstar Baseball.
I don't know. When you're playing some of those non-Mario stadiums and you like get hit by a barrel in the outfield and your opponent ends up getting a inside the park home run, that doesn't feel too good.
Feels pretty manic.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, but you kind of were making an argument I wanted to make, but twisted it. So actually, a couple arguments. So one is baseball is the greatest game ever made. American football is really awesome. Soccer kind of stinks. Kind of boring.
Sorry to our international fans.
So to make a soccer game fun is that much more impressive. Like to make a football game fun, it's like I've been playing fun football games since Madden 95,
Well, they didn't make a fun soccer game if you're talking about Soccer Slam. Oh.
Objection.
Overruled.
So so that was one thing, and the other thing you said that I wanted to twist that I felt like you twisted was the sports. Actually, like football, soccer, and baseball, like they're all like this. Football has a ton of stoppage. Soccer is, not to throw my opinion in, but it's, also slow and incredibly low scoring. You might not get to score a whole match. And then baseball, of course, is also, stop and go, very slow. So they're all kind of like that. Whereas in these video games, Mario Baseball kind of kept that slow nature. Whereas at least Soccer Slam and NFL Street kind of ramped it up and made it fun.
Yeah, because baseball is so boring otherwise.
Oh, okay. So I win that point. Okay, next point.
I don't think so. Your argument is baseball is the best sport, so my game is better because it's baseball.
Well, that is part of the argument, but that's a good argument.
So I wanted to kind of continue on the character discussion, but in a different way. I like, and I think it's objectively the best in Soccer Slam, that there's more balance between the characters and also transparency of the attributes. So in Soccer Slam, all the characters are a little different, and you could see their attributes, and you kind of feel that when you're playing. You could feel the faster guys and the better hitter guys, and the ones that are the characters that are better at shooting. But even the characters that are poor shooters could still shoot and score. So I like that. Whereas in Mario Baseball, there's a ton of characters that are just, you're basically not going to hit anything more than a single with them. And like there's far superior characters and far inferior characters. And then, the same on NFL Street, right? It kind of follows the attributes of the actual players. And, you get to a point where like you're facing a running back and he's just unstoppable. And that's a little silly. So I like how Soccer Slam is really balanced in that way, where the characters are all different, but they're all kind of equal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't know how real that really is. I mean, it's, I think it's...
This is arcade sport, cartoony sports category.
But part of what makes that good is sort of blending the realism with the cartoony nature. And
Good point.
So
no one does that better than NFL Street.
Or Super Mario Baseball. Mario Superstar Baseball.
There's no realism in that. Those aren't real people. But on the other hand, in NFL Street, you do have real people, and their stats are translated perfectly into the game and fitting with the arcade style. And then also, there's definitely transparency with the attributes there, because you can actually see when you pick a player for your, before each game, you set the positions of your players.
Yeah, you're right. That was an attack on the Mario Baseball, where it's just everything was all hidden and like you really had no idea what was going on unless you like a hacker.
Unless you play the game, and then you kind of know. And that's for the real detailed stats or attributes, but they list all their pitching, hitting, fielding, and speed stats for every character. So, I think that, your basic video game player or fan is going to look at those and be able to put together a good team or balanced team. I don't know. I mean, I think that's enough for it to be transparent. And then, yes, sure, there is a certain amount of background statistics and moving parts that give even more color to those characters. But I think that's sort of a positive, the fact that they don't just stop at what is readily viewable, but they do have a whole bunch of other stats about which characters interact better with each other, and which characters can just hit better, feel better, whatever it is. So I don't know. I kind of think that's a strength.
Tom, do you have anything else to say? Because I have another point to make that's related to this.
Go ahead. I'm done with this category.
Yeah. So
okay,
again, this is wow, you're up a bajillion to nothing right now. So this category is cartoony sports. Like, these are arcade games. These are not meant to be simulation type of sports games. So a successfully developed game of this category is a pick up and play in nature, where there's not all this, background things to learn. It's you pick up and play, and after you play for 5 minutes, you're like, okay, I got this. And Soccer Slam does that impeccably, right? There's enough in there. There's enough nuances to keep you playing, having fun, but it's you pick it up and play. You could pick it up and play and learn it real quick.
I don't know. To me, out of these three, that's the last one, the last pick up and play, because you have to really learn the passing and all of the special.
The passing is a button.
No, but like you really to pass and shoot and score, you have to do like that triple pass. Like each player needs to touch it. Plus you have those super kicks and the turbo and all of that. Like Mario Baseball, it's either like you get up to bat, you're charging your hit, or you're doing a basic hit, or and fielding, you just go to the bases. I feel like playing a simulation game is a great, or just knowing the sport is a great way to just pick up and start playing with these with the Mario Superstar Baseball. And even NFL Street, I'll say I don't think it's as good as Mario Superstar Baseball in this category, but I don't know. I felt I picked that up much better and was able to, be competitive or win more so than in Soccer Slam.
Yeah, NFL Street definitely is easy to just get in and play, and like we mentioned during the episode, the playbook is, quite small, I would say, so it really kind of, it doesn't overwhelm the player with too many options. And then, it's a football game, so you hike the ball and then the buttons are up on the screen for whatever receiver you want to throw to if you do a passing play. So it's like quite simple.
Yeah, but even just the playbook, having to pick a play is an obstacle in itself. Imagine somebody who's never played a video game, never watched football or heard of football. That's confusing. I have all these lines on the screen, and like the running and the reverses and the passing, and it's something you have to learn.
Well, they're called trick plays for a reason.
No, not the trick plays, just regular plays, regular pass play. If you've never played Madden or 2K.
Well, I mean, sure. If you're an alien from another planet, if you've never heard of football before, it's going to be a little daunting to get into, sure.
Exactly. But Soccer Slam, an alien could just play right away.
I'm not so sure about that. They wouldn't know what to do.
It's so funny. It's like, because as Pete made that point, I was thinking the response would be, so if you're stranded on a, desert island and you happen to have a GameCube with you and this one game, it'd be the easiest to pick up. That's his argument. But like, just because soccer is more, I don't really get your argument, because it's like, yeah, obviously if you don't know these sports, it's going to be harder to pick up. But I just feel like button wise, Soccer Slam is like, just to be able to do things like,
Mario Baseball is the most complicated. Running the bases and bringing in a reliever, there's
you're kind of getting
I mean, soccer is the simplest sport out of these three sports.
Yeah.
You're just kicking a ball to your teammates and then trying to shoot it in the big goal,
right? Especially if there's no like offsides and penalties and stuff, which there isn't in an arcade game. So yes,
that's true.
If you just strip everything down, yes, this version of soccer is more understandable than this version of football and this version of baseball. But
so it's just most suitable as an arcade game of the three games. Exactly.
That's worse than my baseball is the best sport, so I should win an argument.
Very similar.
How is that worse? Okay, whatever.
Because it's
we'll let the listeners decide.
Yeah.
All right, I got one.
You're basically saying though before that they shouldn't have converted these more complex sports into arcadey video games.
I'm just saying there's an inherent fault with that, because if I wanted to play a complicated game, I'll play the simulation game. And if I want to play an arcade game, I want it to be bam, I'm in. And Mario Baseball and NFL Street aren't either of those things.
All right, Tom, go.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, I think that we all like to play games with friends and family members and whatnot, but you don't always get the chance to do that. And NFL Street had hands down the best single player experience. There's the whole, what's it called? The mode where you
challenge
challenge
mode
where you build your team by, creating players, or you can use the default created players. Um, you take them through this whole journey where you play all the NFL teams, and you're doing these challenges to get attribute points to level up your character stats, and getting geared to customize your characters, and you get to create your own uniforms and your team logo and stuff. But yeah, and then just generally gameplay wise, I found that NFL Street was way more fun to just play against the computer than the other two games.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that because this is the honest truth. I thought Soccer Slam was the most fun playing against a computer, and I played that quest mode with every single team. NFL Street, I had trouble. I got to the second division and kind of stopped in the middle of this playthrough. Just couldn't get through it. It was just, and there's a reason for that, gameplay related, which I'll bring up later. And then Mario Baseball was third for me. I like played one game against a computer, and I was like, ugh. Let me go to the mini games.
And then did you say, ugh?
Yeah. And I said, let me pop in Soccer Slam again.
Cleanse my palate. Gaming
I don't know.
palate.
That's yeah. I mean, obviously it's a matter of taste, but I felt the opposite way. Like with Soccer Slam,
Yeah.
I played a couple of games, and then I was like, begging to move on to the next game.
I do want to emphasize the single player in Soccer Slam. So, not in the GameCube version, but there was motivation to play in that mode where you combined players from different teams, which is cool in and of itself, then to unlock more players and more teams. And then also in the quest mode, it was like a season. And in between, there's a shop, and you get money as you win or do these challenges. And you could use that currency to improve your player stats, just like in NFL Street. So the Soccer Slam solo player was pretty robust, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there were options for sure. I just don't know that it was that much fun.
Yeah, the problem to go against NFL Street is NFL Street. Really, the whole premise was building the team. So
Yeah, it was awesome.
yeah, that one part of it was awesome. But so they had to emphasize that challenge mode. Whereas Soccer Slam, playing with or against buddies is a lot more fun. You and I played Soccer Slam a lot growing up on the same team.
Yeah, I'm talking about the single player experience. Actually, did you remember my whole intro where I was like, you don't always have a friend or relative?
That's a good point. But I was just talking about exhibition.
I mean,
well, it seems like we've moved on to game modes
I
at this
just want
point.
to say,
fine,
like Tom, I'm not going to directly address Tom's point, but I will say that I think it's safe to say, and I think all of us agree, that all three of these games are best played like a couch co-op or a couch competitive sort of situation. So I would just have the listeners bear that in mind, and sort of the single player experience, even if you take what Tom says as true, it should be weighted very, very lightly compared to the other points that are being brought up.
That's an excellent point. It's like playing comparing platformers and saying this one has the best mini games, or something.
That's not true. Because I mean, how many times? I don't know. Like if you let's say you're the only child, you buy this game and you want to improve in it for when you play your friends. Maybe you go to your friend's house once a week or whatever, or once a month. You have to play single player to get better at the game.
Yeah, but you could do that
in those scenarios. Yeah, you could play exhibition in any game. Yeah,
and I will say this: as far as
I'm not saying that you can. I'm saying that it's a more enjoyable experience in NFL Street than it is the other games.
Yeah. I guess the point is that NFL Street, even if it is slightly better, it's like weighted so low where it doesn't have any tangible impact on the outcome of this courtroom style debate.
I mean, that kind of segues nicely, though, as far as like additional modes are concerned. I think Mario Superstar Baseball was good in the sense that it did have a bunch of other modes. It had like a lot the mini game mode. It had that other mode where it's like one on one, and you're facing off against each other, hitting, pitching, and two fielders.
The
Um,
toy field.
the toy field mode. So that really, NFL Street was basically, challenge mode and then a couple of pickup game modes, and that was it.
Yes.
And Soccer Slam was, you had like a tournament mode and then like a quest mode.
Yeah,
But
season mode. You also had a few mini games as well in the non-GameCube version again,
yeah, so I mean, again,
and exhibition. So
well, every sports game has exhibition, including all of these. But
yeah, but the thing with Soccer Slam is you might actually play all those game modes. Well, not the mini games, but Mario Baseball. No one's playing Toy Field. It was awful.
but the mini games, like not all of them were good. I'll concede that, but there was a few that were pretty fun.
A couple of them were tolerable. Yeah, the hitting ones.
That's that's the word you want to hear when describing a video game to play. This is tolerable.
So I want to
I don't
change.
know.
Oh, go ahead.
Just one more point on it. All that stuff is just like extra fluff, though. It doesn't really. It's just not necessary, Those mini games and junk like that. Like no one's
Yeah.
buying the games to play that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is a good way to practice, though. Like you're talking about practicing. I think it is a good way
So
to
is
get the
exhibition.
hitting down. Or you could focus on a particular thing. Like there was the base running mini game and a hitting mini
You
game.
gotta practice your base running
Well, you said it was so hard to do, so.
for an alien who never heard of baseball. So I want to change gears, and it's a little bit of a convoluted thing. But the first point is direct. All three of these games, because of the arcade nature, had a kind of over the top game breaking type of maneuver you could do. So in NFL Street, it was Game Breaker, which was basically the freebie of all freebies. And then in Mario Baseball, you had these star shots, I guess they were called star hits, and
Well, you could use
some
the
of them
stars.
was basically just make contact, and it's a free double. I'm thinking about like Mario's Fireball, for example. In Soccer Slam, you had like the killer kicks, and or those regular, kind of power up that you could use throughout basically the whole game, and those weren't freebies. Those were little boosts that might help you. So I really like that. I mean, getting a game breaker in NFL Street is like
Yeah,
the least fun way of scoring in any video game ever.
Yeah, but in Soccer Slam, you get your super kicks like very frequently,
Yeah, the
So
game
that's
breakers you
kinda-
really did have to build up for.
You basically got one a game, if that.
Well, maybe if you're not that great. And another problem, another problem with that is like, particularly for NFL Street, it was really like, okay, in all the cases,
Here comes the convoluted part.
no. In all the games, the better you were doing, the faster you would get your power up ability, right? But in Soccer Slam, if you did like, a pass or something, that would count towards it. In Mario Baseball, so that's like it's or take a shot or whatever. It was like the least significant part, and then of course, if you scored, you would get some. But there's a lot of other things that don't involve really getting ahead of your opponent that will move your bar up. Whereas in Mario Baseball, you pretty much had to get a strikeout or a hit, so it's kind of in the middle. That helps, but it's not that significant. But in NFL Street, it was like you could build up half your bar by basically doing style points and getting like a 80-yard run, so to speak. And it just kind of cascaded. And like the team that was ahead always had more game breakers, basically. So it was like very stupid mechanic.
Yeah, it's dumb. Let's reward the good team. I mean, yeah, let's reward the good team. Why should we do that? We should have comeback
Not reward the good team.
with a good player.
Reward the good player with a free touchdown or a free stop.
What I will say with Mario Baseball with this argument is that you did have to earn those stars. First of all, by building a certain team. If you built a team with more, we would call it feng shui, but just more camaraderie, chemistry. We then it would you get more star abilities to start with, and then certain instances you had to get a hit or get a strikeout, and then that would reward you with another star ability. So there was at least that. And then I like the fact that, unlike the other two games, a star ability, even if it was successful a majority of the times, it was a double or a strikeout, or, it wasn't a score. It wasn't a grand slam. It wasn't a home run. It wasn't like strike out three players in a row. It was like, so I think it was the most manageable while still contributing to the arcadey sports sort of nature of the game. I will agree. The NFL Street, it basically was a free touchdown or a free turnover.
Yeah, but I will say that in NFL Street, the style points was like styling was a main theme of the game. So they wanted to make it impactful. If you're gonna like sell this game as, you get to do all these cool styling things, styling maneuvers, and then it's just like, the benefit of doing that is minimal, and it's like your whole marketing is down the toilet.
Yeah, I just don't think it was a very good mechanic for a game.
You don't think football is a very good Christmas present?
I want the listeners to have a look at the Brothers and Boss Battles Instagram and YouTube pages at Bros Boss Battles, because you'll see a Soccer Slam reel where one of the players does a super kick where they turn into Iceman and they take a shot from, I think, even beyond midfield and score.
Nah, he pretty much launches himself from midfield to a little closer towards the goal. And it was a tsunami. It wasn't Iceman, I think.
Oh, I thought it was the Russian guy.
Oh, maybe it was. I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah, that's sport. That's like, again, having somebody like maybe miss a tackle and you get an 80-yard touchdown, or someone fall down and get an 80-yard touchdown, like from a block. Like that happens in sports sometimes.
Well, my point is that, well, actually, that doesn't actually really happen in soccer. You don't
this argument again.
but anyway,
yeah, imagine a goal from midfield in actual soccer. That like literally impossible. They don't score when they're 2 feet in front of the goal. It's like...
But anyway, my point is that, that super kick that we're discussing now is, maybe more impactful than you're leading on. It might make it, more easy to score a goal.
I think that's misleading to any listener who's never played the game, because it's not, and we're not exaggerating one bit about the game breakers in NFL Street.
All right,
but again,
go ahead.
Sorry, one last point. But again, you get these super kicks, every minute.
Yeah, so it's a better mechanic. You get them a lot, but they're not a freebie.
Yeah, they're not a freebie. But if you look at, all right,
I get it.
All right, so I wanted to bring up one more thing. Now, we talked a little bit about in the Soccer Slam episode about how there are, pretty key differences between some of the versions of the game, with content being just completely left out, and really kind of big content being left out of the GameCube version. PS2 version suffered from poor performance and other bugs. And then, you have Mario Baseball, which is obviously a Nintendo exclusive and only available on the GameCube. But then you have NFL Street, which is, it was available on all the major consoles at the time, and also included all the content on all the versions of the game, and, good performance on all versions of the game. So I think that's a, kind of a kudos to the development team over at EA Sports Big for nailing that and, creating a consistent experience across all the platforms.
So NFL Street is better because it was on multiple platforms. A little weak.
Well, it had best availability of all the games.
I don't know. It was cool that Soccer Slam had a different experience no matter what platform you were playing on. No.
It was clearly worse if you played it on GameCube, so that's a positive.
No, but in all seriousness, and I told this story on the Soccer Slam episode, we had the GameCube version of Soccer Slam, and we played it a good amount. I enjoyed it a lot. and never knew anything about these unlockable teams on the PlayStation and Xbox versions. So fast forward, 20 some odd years later, I'm playing Soccer Slam in preparation for the podcast, doing some research in preparation, and I discovered this.
You should have felt cheated that you didn't get to have all this extra content and you missed out on it. And you still probably paid the same price as somebody who got all the content.
I did feel cheated and angry at Nintendo, but I will say, imagine if you only had Pokemon Red growing up, and then you learned that Pokemon Blue, like you could catch Mew 3 or something. That's pretty cool, even though you would probably feel bad, like, oh man, I didn't have that version, but it's still pretty darn cool. 20 years later, you discovered this. So I will say that about this argument you're trying to make.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a real life experience I had. I'm not making it up for the podcast.
No, I was like, but it's like not.
I was genuinely like, oh my god, how did I not know about this?
Yeah, but it would have been better if it was in the game.
Yeah, and you never got to, and still to this day, you never got to experience it because you played again on the GameCube.
Yeah, but I was able to watch YouTube videos. No, but it would have been better if I got to experience. You're right, but I think my Pokemon analogy really hits home. There's still some element of awesomeness to discovery so many years later. And if the characters were in the GameCube version, that awesomeness of 20-year later discovery would not have happened.
Okay, so that's that argument. But I will say, vis-a-vis the Mario thing, I think Tom's argument is weak because you're basically saying, because Nintendo has this awesome IP that they very rightfully don't share with other console developers, that they should get a strike against them in this game. So like, I don't really agree with that.
Yeah, I don't expect them to like make Mario on PlayStation. Like, no one would expect that.
But the point is that it's more accessible.
Yeah, it's more widely available and can be enjoyed by all, which is, is a positive thing for the game.
So
it's true.
I kind of want to talk about. So I think this is a valid point because all of these games came out in the GameCube, Xbox, PS2 era, but I think Mario Superstar Baseball had the smoothest, brightest, most fun graphics of these three games. And when you're talking about an arcadey sports game, I think that's important. NFL Street was very like dark, like the fields were very dark, I felt. And it just was like grainy and gritty, and like that might have been a feel they were going for, but it wasn't the feel that I think a lot of people enjoy when playing an arcade sports game where you want sort of those bright colors and all of that. And I think Mario Superstar Baseball was the top as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, it was more bright. I think I would give that.
It was bright for sure. I mean, I think that's because the characters are just themselves more
colorful,
like cartoon characters. Yeah. They have odd proportions and they're animals and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you're not going to expect Brian Urlacher to be brightly colored.
But they did exaggerate their features even in NFL Street, though. I mean, they're all much
more
bigger.
Muscles. Yeah.
I want to talk about the sound.
You do that.
I really feel like the in-game sound, the commentary, and the crowd noise, it added an element to Soccer Slam. And
like when they would say Moderna when they were taking a shot. Oh,
exactly. If that character was in the game, I misspoke in the episode and said Moderna instead of Madeira.
At least you issued that correction.
Yeah. That was the whole point of me bringing up this part of the episode. Anyway, no, but in all seriousness, it was exciting taking a shot, and then the commentators would say something of that nature, and the crowd noise would get up, and then the goalie would block it off, and then you would try to get the rebound and kick it again, and that added to it. In NFL Street, it was weird. There was like music playing in the back. It was like
some background music, and then you have like Warren Sapp talking trash after he gets a sack.
Yeah, a little bit of trash talk. I don't know how great that was. And how was the commentary? Exactly.
They didn't need it. I mean, how
I didn't need it.
it's a backyard
Yeah,
because it's backyard sports. They don't have like John Madden's not going to be standing there making comments on the game.
It shouldn't have been John Madden. Maybe it could have been someone with more attitude, though.
What about Mario Superstar Baseball? Yeah, the cute little sounds that went with the game, like when they would say "switch sides" and stuff like that. So
Infield line.
infield fly.
Or change for some reason.
It just, it had sounds that went with the cartoony sports kind of genre. The ball, when it would be popped up, it would sort of make that whistling sound. It was like woo, and then it would come down. So like, I don't know, it had a lot of good sounds that if they weren't there, you would notice, and it would have been a poorer experience. So, well,
That's true of every game. If it was silent, you would notice it.
no, but those specific effects I think were cool. All right.
Yeah, but it is
Yeah.
a sports game, and I think commentary is, you play by play or color or whatever is I don't want to say important aspect, but it's a common aspect, and
It
it was
made
missing
sense.
in these other two games.
Nah, hold on. Because it made sense in Soccer Slam because they were playing in front of a crowd and it it had the appearance of a televised event, which is where you would have commentators.
Yeah, it's true. When you go to a
Mario
game, you're
Baseball
not
had an
hearing-
audience as well.
Yeah. I'll give you that. Mario Baseball could have had some.
They dropped the ball.
Yeah. But I mean, NFL Street, they were going for this, go down to the park, pickup game with, the neighborhood friends or rivals or whatever. So like the not having a commentator really fit
It fit, but
the theme they were going for.
Sorry, it fit, but it felt like it was absent. It felt like there was something missing because of that. And it was intentional, but it wasn't. It didn't play well to me. I don't know.
All right. Has everyone rested their cases?
I have.
Me as well.
All right, then. I too have done so. So, all right, this is where we're going to ask you, the listeners, to comment on our Instagram or X accounts or Spotify, wherever you get this, wherever you could leave a comment. Let us know which one of these three games is your favorite cartoony sports game from the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era. Again, those games are Mario Superstar Baseball, Sega's Soccer Slam, and NFL Street. Just give a little pause here if you want to check off, just to, at this point, just basing your comments on our arguments throughout this episode, go right ahead. We're going to give our true rankings of these games, basically what we think, are our true rankings, despite whose game position we took up on this argument for this episode. I don't know. I mean, I'll start. So I think all of these games are best played cooperatively, whether that's couch co-op or couch competitive, played with someone or against another human. Maybe NFL Street was the best against the computer, but ultimately even that I think is best against friends or brothers or sisters or any other family member you might want to play against. With that said, I am a true believer of the game that I took up its cause is my favorite out of these. Mario Superstar Baseball is my favorite, and I think the best out of these three, followed by NFL Street, and then with Soccer Slam bringing up the rear in my estimation.
I'll go next. Yeah, I mean, I agree pretty much with your assessment there. I think Mario Baseball was just like, I feel like it had the most longevity to it. Like you can really get a lot of play time out of it. Assuming that you have someone to play with. And then, yeah, I mean, NFL Street, I liked it a lot. I think it's a close second. And then for me, Soccer Slam would be probably, well, I don't know. I don't want to say distant third because honestly, I did enjoy that game a lot growing up. So I don't want to completely trash it. So I'll just say that it's a
clear
third place.
All right, Pete, tell us yours,
All right.
and then we'll choose that winner.
So I defended Soccer Slam, and I genuinely had the most fun playing Soccer Slam this time around in 2025. compared to the other two games. With that being said, I would certainly rank Mario Baseball number one. I was kind of bashing in this episode the complexity of the game, but it's really not that complicated. But there is like a lot of different characters, and they all feel different. They all have different stats, and it just makes for a better game. And to Tom's point, like more longevity. And you just keep playing exhibition games. You don't have to worry about any of the other game modes, and just keep playing exhibition games, and it just keeps being fun. Number two for me is Soccer Slam. I defended this game because I actually really enjoyed it, and you guys did not so much. So, and NFL Street, like I didn't like it as much as I thought I was gonna like it this time around, and I just felt like the offense was just too strong, and it just felt like a foregone conclusion sometimes that you were going to score and then they were going to score, and it just didn't feel good to me. And that I made the argument about the game breakers in the episode, and I really did not like that mechanic at all, genuinely. So those are my ranks.
All right. Well, this one's pretty easy then. So it's Mario Baseball as our number one pick, NFL Street is number two, and Soccer Slam as number three. All right. Well, thank you, everyone who listened. Please give us your comments on our social media and wherever you get this podcast. We'd love to hear which one of these games you like the best. Give us your rankings. All of that would be great. Make sure to check us out on Instagram X, Twitch, or YouTube at Bros Boss Battles, BROS Boss Battles, at brothersandbossbattles.com, or wherever you get this podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time when we start a new category. All right, everyone, take care.